GPT-5 is here, sorta. All signs are pointing to Santa Altman dropping down our next-gen chimney and delivering the goods next week.
We'll tell you about some mysterious models that are floating around that might be GPT-5, and guess what, Kevin?
What?
It's gonna be a big deal!
Wait, no. Now that's borderline hype beast, and we are not hype beasty, especially.
Kevin, did you see the SVG Pelican on the little bike?
I did see the Pelican on the bike, and we will show you the Pelican on the bike, but more importantly, we will explain why this Pelican on a bike is a big
Kevin,
deal.
it's riding a bike.
It is riding the bike. It is, Gavin.
Riding a bike.
It's so good. Okay, back to me, please. Let's mute Gavin. All right, we've also got some massive releases in the video space. Runway's Aleph, or Aleph, if you're nasty, is changing the way people are making media, and that's not an understatement.
And Ideogram's Character will turn your fairly normal selfies into total thirst traps.
Plus, huge updates in the open source community out of China. We've got the new line of Qwen models, which are very exciting because you can run them in airplane mode. Yes, offline intelligence, friends.
And we've got some remarkable new robots that can do your laundry autonomously.
And might just have a public meltdown when you're not looking.
That's me after GPT-5, Kevin. This is AI for Humans. Welcome, everybody, to AI for Humans. It is another big week in the AI space. In fact, Kevin, we are on the eve of what might be the biggest week in AI in the last year. GPT-5 is here kind of for now, not really, but there have been leaks.
Cares?
And
who freaking
you
cares?
care, we
Overhyped.
care, our audience cares.
Overhyped. Nobody cares. They only care because they want to do a 240-point font and get some clickbait. Let me tell you something. Let me save you a click right now. No one's gonna care. It's not gonna matter.
Well, let's just pretend they care, Kevin, for the sake of the podcast, okay? Let's pretend they care.
Gavin, I am zagging because everybody else is zigging on Sam Altman right now. And I got to be honest, for good reason. We got to get to the models, which we teased at the top of the show, that are out there that people are claiming might be GPT-5, one of many flavors of GPT-5, and the results are genuinely jaw-dropping.
Yeah, I want to start first, though. The ChatGPT app X handle has dropped an unusually weird vision of a Japanese OpenAI logo, which I guess if you use Grok to translate has something to, specifically it says, the image of the X post from ChatGPT app features a stylized design resembling a traditional Chinese wufu, which is the 5 blessings motif, Kevin. And the rumor is...
Not a waifu, which is Elon's
No, not
blessing.
a waifu. That's actually Elon's project. That's right, exactly. The rumor is that we may get this next Tuesday, which would be August 5th, 2025. There are 2 5s in that number, Kevin. We are talking some serious stuff. But yes, let us get to the interesting leaks that have happened. And when we say leaks, everybody's listened to our show. The way that some of these companies will test these models is they will put them out anonymously, quote unquote, on websites like LM Arena, which is how you compare one model to another. And you never know what model you're going to get. So a lot of entrepreneurial people just spend a ton of time testing these models, trying stuff, and they saw a couple models pop up, Kevin, specifically 3 new models people had not heard of, and they're already gone from LM Arena. But this was a Zenith model, a Lobster model, and a Nectarine model. So all fun code names, if this is OpenAI, all fun code names. And the theory is here that this might be GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini, and maybe a GPT-5 Nano. So these are possibly, again, we are in unsubstantiated rumor territory here. OpenAI has not said something officially other than their weird symbol to start with. Kevin, have you seen some of these results? It's pretty impressive, actually.
I have, and I think we're going to dive into some of them so all the listeners and viewers will get to see them as well. Was there any indication that one of these might be a reasoning model, Gavin? Was there anything about thinking on this? Was this the Zenith model?
The Zenith model is the one that it seems like had reasoning behind it, which is why that feels like it might be a GPT-5 model. Now, again, there's been all these things that people have talked about where, with GPT-5, what we have covered on the show is that it sounds like there will be some form of a hybrid model where it will, quote unquote, know when to reason or not. Yeah. People have shared possible fake, possible real screenshots where you can turn on or off reasoning on something. Like the way these often roll out is like you may have tested it and you don't even know. But the Zenith model seems to be the one that has most people excited. I saw a lot of really interesting coding examples. And when I say coding examples, it's not just like a page of code. It's like what it can actually make with code in one-shot examples.
I mean, let's talk about the Minecraft example real quick, because that was the one that had me stop in my tracks. It was basically like, hey, just go and code Minecraft. And in one shot, meaning that was the prompt, it returned a browser-based, fully playable game where you could, you know, navigate a pixelated, blocky 3D world. You could jump, you could break things. There was like a sprint functionality. There was basic inventory. There was day-night cycles. And, you know, you could make the argument, well, listen, a lot of this code is out there. It was probably swept in through something else on a website someplace. But that argument was made of things in the past. It speaks to its ability to put all of the pieces together and get interactive controls and 3D graphics and make it playable and put intelligent systems together in one prompt, one shot.
Yes. And this all follows up the idea that we've been hearing from the heads of these AI labs for a while, that these models are going to get much better at coding this year. And Kev, I think the big thing, there's a guy who we followed for a long time on X who goes by Yuchin Jin, and he's sometimes has been right with these theses, and he's connected maybe in these spaces. He said, heard from a little bird at OpenAI, GPT-5 is finally better than Claude at coding, not just on benchmarks, but in real internal use over the past few days. If that's true, Anthropic can't stay quiet for too long. Claude 5 has to be released sooner. I don't know if that's the case, because I think, as we said on the show before, it does feel like the GPT models are like the start of a new cycle, and maybe the Anthropic ones are the end of a cycle.
There's also been some other models that have popped up. There was like a Horizon model and a Summit model. Basically, it would make sense if OpenAI was testing a bunch of different variations of this. They might also be testing older models that don't do the things that we believe GPT-5 will do, just to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Also, people can post whatever they want on the internet as well. Let me be clear. So there might be some stuff floating around that is complete BS, but it does seem like there's an X user by the name of Sad Albert, which I love.
Good name. Some
tests I have done before Zenith, rumored to be GPT-5, from LM Arena disappeared. He has a couple little examples, and you know, there's a test of putting a bouncing ball with physics inside of a piece of geometry, like a shape, and letting it go around and bounce. People have been doing tests like this with multiple shapes and multiple balls bouncing around, and then the balls are different sizes and blah, blah, blah. The ball physics are off the chain, Gavin. The point is, if it's not GPT-5, something seems to be making really incredible coded experiences one shot and very quickly. Like, people remark about the speed that this model generates things. So if it's not GPT-5, whatever the hell it is a reason worth getting excited, and maybe a reason getting a little hype beastie.
Yeah, so it's not, and by the way, let's just be clear, like, it's not just these models that have kind of signaled this thing. The other big thing that's happening is that Microsoft Copilot has launched a new smart mode, and The Verge is reporting that in this smart mode that there are probably GPT-5 turn-ons. And if you remember, The Verge also reported, I think it was last week, that it would be coming out in the beginning of August. And Microsoft and OpenAI seem to finally be on the verge of a deal, which is something that has been dogging them for a while. And if you remember, there was a whole argument around the idea of like what AGI was and whether or not they were going to allow Microsoft to have the full percentage of the company that they owned originally. There seems like there is a deal happening. So all of this is pointing to one direction. And even so, at the same time, Kev, from a business standpoint, OpenAI dropped a little piece of information that I'm sure was probably seeded to the information. This came out of the information that they are now doing $12 billion of annual recurring revenue at the same time as Anthropic is doing $9 billion. These companies are scaling very, very fast. Yeah. And in some ways, I think this all leads into the idea of like, are we going to go from this moment where we have like this kind of not sure what the next step of AI is to a moment where like we really see what essentially could be the future of like a bajillion different things in our world, right? Like, meaning that if these tools get this good at coding, they can come for a lot of other things.
The parallel that we've drawn on this show before, because it's hard to go like, if someone is casual to this space, Gavin, and listening to this pod right now, and maybe they've poked at ChatGPT, what does going from 4 to 5 really mean for them in their day-to-day? What does it really mean in life? And we are at the dial-up modem phase of artificial intelligence. If you're an old head like us, and you remember that, right? We are dial-up modem.
What baud rate are we at? Which baud rate right now?
28.8.
Oh, maybe, that's not bad. I was thinking we were closer to maybe
we're 56K.
12.
I think no, because what I was going to say is I think we're on the precipice of like early broadband.
Okay,
right?
got it. That makes sense. Yes,
we're about to hit the broadband phase. So what does that mean? Well, your GPT-4 that you have access to that sometimes gives you really great answers and other times fails miserably to do anything can suddenly now go off and do work for you for minutes at a time, potentially hours or days or weeks at a time, and come back and deliver you a result. For the quicker things, it's going to be lightning fast. For the distillation of these models that come down the line, your smartphone, your eyeglasses, your all of the things will have intelligence built into them as well as these frontier models move everything forward and everything trickles down in the end. So it's like, yes.
Also, Kevin, we cannot forget recursive learning is a thing. And that is a thing. That is a thing and an important thing to remember.
I got bad grades because I refused to learn cursive. So why does this matter?
Well, we want the AIs to have the best handwriting they can. So when they present us the statement that says we are no longer useful in their lives, we can read them and fully understand.
So our death note will be in calligraphy?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Oh, wonderful.
Recursive learning.
We're no longer needed.
So, there was a really interesting thing this week where it kind of like highlighted, I think it was Ethan Mollick who tweeted this out, that all three of the major leaders, Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Dario Modi, all the people that are kind of on the edge of AI in some form or another have all mentioned, and Demis Hassabis have all mentioned this idea that they have started to see recursive learning, meaning that like these systems are starting to like help program themselves to make themselves better. That is the scale up moment. If you think we've been going fast already, that is the moment that all this happens at. And like, I think come next week, we'll get a sense of understanding of like what sort of leap we have really taken here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Zuck, there were some videos made this week about SuperIntelligence and Meta's future, and I saw them posted everywhere, Gavin. Yeah. I saw a blog post as well. I read it. I read the blog post. I still don't know what I read or what it means, though.
Yeah, take a listen to the beginning of it. Let's play a little bit of Zuck, because Zuck loves these new videos where he's like right in the camera, looking at us, telling us something really important.
All right, ready? Hey, everyone.
Yeah.
I want to talk about our new effort, Meta SuperIntelligence.
By the way, that all right ready was Zuck, not me. I'm going to play it again.
Oh, I thought that was you.
Yeah, no. All right, ready? Here we go.
All right, ready?
All right, ready? Hey, everyone. I want to talk about our new effort, Meta SuperIntelligence Labs, and our vision to build personal superintelligence for everyone. AI keeps accelerating, and over the past few months, we've begun to see glimpses of AI systems improving themselves. So developing superintelligence is now in sight. But there's this big open question about what we should direct superintelligence towards. A lot has been written about the scientific and economic advances that AI can bring, and I'm really optimistic about this.
But have you thought about big waifus with giant vampire wings and fangs that have your initials on them? One bite,
not thought
and
about
you'll
it.
be. I'm just asking. Okay, all right. Let's hear what Zuck has to say.
What I think an even more meaningful impact in our lives is going to come from everyone having a personal superintelligence that helps you achieve your goals, create what you want to see in the world, be a better friend, and grow to become the person that you aspire to be.
Maybe it has the biggest in the world, Gavin. Maybe it flaps its wings excitedly every time you come near the computer. Maybe it force feeds you personalized ads like foie gras.
Foie gras?
Yeah, that's how they force feed the ducks.
Ads? Yeah, I know what foie gras is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to force feed you. Your waifu's going to have a wooden dowel that's going to jam data down your gullet.
These are all artificial things. So just everybody at home is listening. We don't support foie gras. We don't support dowels. We don't support wooden ducks. So all that's in the same place. But
we do support big old...
What was interesting here about this is Mark is pitching a personal superintelligence, which I think is an interesting term because I've never connected superintelligence to a personal thing before. I mean, I understand what he's getting at here. I guess the question is, we're entering in this phase again, and people have already started, and Dario Modi had a clip this week where he's talking about how none of these terms make sense anymore, which, okay, well, you were also part of the person that brought these terms into our lives, but like, what is superintelligence and what does it mean? I don't think of superintelligence as something that's going to be my friend. I think of superintelligence as something that's like going to hopefully work at a very high level and not just hand me a light beer when I need to have like a partner to watch the football game with. I don't know. Like, this is the idea of personal superintelligence feels like an oxymoron a little bit to me. I don't know what your thoughts on that were.
I haven't really thought about it in that way. And now that I am, I'm realizing I did have this weird sort of maybe short-sighted, this bias that like a super intelligence was going to be this layer over the globe.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe a handful of governments would have access to, and they would run their experiments, and I would get Grok 6. I would get the anime waifu version of it. Yes, it'd be distilled
I didn't
down
say
to me.
it, but yes, I know what you're saying.
But and look, great. Let's all have access to a super intelligence. I'm going to maybe take advantage of 5% of what it's capable of. But sure, let's all go ahead and have access to it. I guess that is nice. I do worry about only a handful having access to the best intelligence. So that's a great vision. But the reason I said, like, does he actually say anything? And this was a criticism that I saw lobbied by others, is that what is that? What is it going to do? What is it actually going to do for us? How is it going to, and if we all have it, is it actually a super intelligence, or is it just that's table stakes for everyone?
Now you got my brain moving around it. It's like, if we're all super intelligent, is anybody super intelligent?
Yeah, what makes it so super anymore? Hold on a second.
Who's the super duper intelligent one? That's what I'd like to know.
But I do I think it's interesting. For healthcare, a super intelligence in my pocket that is monitoring my vitals and helping me live the healthiest, best life. Like, that's cool. I don't know if it needs to be a super intelligence for that. I don't know. I just like, what are your plans? What's it going to do? Because I want to believe that it's going to lead to amazing things. I just feel like it somehow leads to more targeted advertisements and more insidious
I think
ones.
that's a really important thing to think about. And also, like, there was a kind of a weird news story this week where supposedly somebody at Mira Murati's Thinking Machines turned down a $1 billion offer to join Meta over multiple years for this exact reason, maybe, that they didn't want to be part of Meta's vision of this thing. And it does start to become a question of, like, where you have like 5 to 7 people that we are going to be seeing as like potentially in charge of this technology that could like change the entire world. And it's weird to think about, who do you know and what do you know about their backgrounds and what do you know about the choices they've made before? And to your point about like target advertising, like, well, we know Mark Zuckerberg built a big business in that space, right? Yeah. Like, we know that he understands that. So anyway,
Kevin, thought experiment here. What number would it take to get you to walk away from AI for humans and our friendship?
1999 and 6-month increments, maybe.
So 6 installments of 1999 USD.
Yeah, it's fine. If you wanted to pay me like every other month, that's probably fine too. Like, it could be all right.
Well, that's a uplifting piece of information to have.
Nothing
didn't
would
even
make me
need
walk
a comma,
away.
but
nothing would make
this.
me walk away.
You don't have to spend a dime to get Gavin to walk away, but you can spend a single click to brighten his day and bring us closer, actually, which is a wonderful punishment for Gavin.
Oh, does that bring us closer?
I'm saying like and subscribe is what I'm saying. Because the more this thing works, the closer, unfortunately for you, we get, Gavin. So please, you're the only way we grow this endeavor each and every week. We get on the promo pony and we beg and we plead, and this week is no different. Click subscribe, click like, leave a comment. It helps us with that sweet, sweet algo juice. So please.
That's right.
Give us some love and thank you. I'll also point out, Gavin, we are now 2 weeks into our not having $1 million plus super chat on YouTube.
Oh, you're right.
I'm shocked.
You're right.
I'm shocked. I don't think we're going to go 3 weeks, but
our audience is showing restraint, which is fine. I know there are multiple billionaires out there who have kind of hovered their finger over that giant super chat space. Yeah. If it wants to be you, just know that we will not feel bad about you doing it. We'd be happy to have you go even as low as 100,000. It's totally fair to do that if that's a place you want to get.
Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that. Hang out. Be the first to limp in at $1 million. And I know a bunch of our other whales are on the sidelines wondering if they should limp in with $2 million to look better. Just to get the. We got to get this ball rolling. So
let's keep going. There's some huge news in the AI video space this week. We're going to start with a big announcement for Runway. Runway Aleph. We don't know exactly how you present it or pronounce it, but what is cool about this it is a chat-based natural language interaction tool with your images or your videos to tell it what you want. And Kevin, this is a very cool tool. I will say I had some hands-on experience with it. We'll talk about it a little bit, but like the examples that I have seen come out of this are really interesting. Cristobal Venezuela, the guy who is the CEO of Runway, obviously is out there tweeting some really interesting ones. Did you see the one where it's the dance from Pulp Fiction and they put all the different, for audio listeners out there, this is the scene with John Travolta and Uma Thurman dancing, and they put them in like the snow, in a sandstorm. The sandstorm stuff is so fascinating because it does a good job of like making it feel like there is a sandstorm, but you can kind of still see the images. Mostly keeps facial recognition. Like there's definitely some stuff where it doesn't, but this is a tool that is as good at manipulating images and stuff better than I have seen yet, which I think is pretty cool.
I've seen a lot of montages which have short clips, which, you know, I want to like dive in and see like longer form scenes, but the understanding of physics and weather, world modeling, lighting are really, really impressive. And so, you know, what some of my favorite examples, they'll take a scene and they'll style transfer it 6 different times. So yeah, you watch somebody just walking around and then suddenly they're on a giant sand dune, or they're walking on a spherical earth in the rain or the snow or the what. This is the kind of thing where we talk about like one person making a Hollywood film.
Yes.
You know, like this is the kind of stuff where it's like, oh, you want to be flying on a land speeder? Well, go grab one of those Amazon cardboard boxes and kind of half squat on it and then tell the machine that that's a horse, or that's the land speeder, or that's whatever you want. And it really seems to understand that context and transfer the video.
Yeah, and what I'll say is like, one of my favorite things about this tool is that I've just seen so much creativity come out of people using it. Like Proper Prompter is a person we like on X who shows a bunch of examples. But if you go to their feed, they've shown a bunch of different ones. And like, you know, he had a thing where he retweeted somebody called The Artist Journey. And it's this really interesting thing where they took like a Twitter screenshot and they made like a video look like it was coming to life. And then it cuts over to the same thing in person. Like just really cool ways of using things in AI video they wouldn't expect. The other thing, Kevin, I do like about this, and I don't know how long they'll let you do this, but Runway used to be really weird about letting you upload things that were recognizable celebrities or were scenes from movies. And it seems like they have really loosened the rules on this for right now, at least. And maybe that they learned that from ChatGPT and the Ghibli Gate sort of launch, where like maybe in the very beginning, you open the floodgates so people can do stuff. But there's been a lot of interesting IP stuff. There's a very funny one that Proper Prompter made of Khaleesi from Game of Thrones with the Starbucks cup in front of her. And then it cuts to a bunch of other different scenes where like she's interacting with other ad things. And like, again, facial structures, really solid, really, really interesting use case. And I think it is available for everybody who is a Runway subscriber. Kevin, I did try it. And I went in there and I had some interesting experience with it. And I will say I didn't spend a ton of time with it, but I wanted to see, could I upload a photo of myself wearing a turtleneck from New York City? And I said, put me in a tropical location. And it created a version of me with a tropical background, kind of a weirder, slightly changed face and weirder body. Then I asked it to give me an over shoulder view of a monkey, like there was a monkey opposite for me, and it did that. Then I tried to do a couple other things where I flip-flopped around. Like what I wanted to try to do was get like a reverse shot where the monkey and I were both shaking hands with the ocean in the background. And it really struggled to do some of this. So the only reason I say this is like, again, this is no knock against Runway. The stuff we've seen come out of people who are very good at this is remarkable. It's just another one of these tools that probably takes a little bit of time to get used to. The last image, kind of maybe like with ChatGPT image, clearly my face has changed, right? When you look at that rip of things, like, so I wonder if it's the same thing as ChatGPT is, where like the first one is still going to be the best that you get out of it, and then like trying to go down
as you go, it gets further.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Runway is not the only one that's trying to do this, right? We had Higgs Field with the Soul add-on a few weeks ago that we covered, and Ideogram, which was one of our favorite text and logo generators for a long while. Yeah. They have a new thing called Ideogram Character, and they're claiming it's the first character consistency model that works with just one reference image. Gavin, you give it one image of yourself, and then you can reimagine yourself in stunning, photorealistic, pitch perfect, I'll say pixel perfect accuracy. And you tried it out.
I tried it out. Well, first of all, we should be clear. It may be the best in their words, but we have seen versions of this for quite a while, right? Like single image, LoRa's like training ability, like there's very many companies. This is pretty good. Like I actually used the same picture, I uploaded it, and I started to ask it different things. You'll see in the examples that I shared here is that like, there's an example of me in a video game, which is pretty good. Like I actually try to make it like a 90s style, like kind of like almost Skyrim style game. There's a cartoon image of me on top of a ball. But the most important ones I think is I tried to get an image of me in a bleach blonde, bleach goatee, kind of Guy Fieri chef outfit. and it kept turning me into some sort of weird thirst trap guy. And I don't know what these images are. These are not what I asked for.
I think you survived till episode 3 of building the band. That's what I'm seeing in these photos.
That's exactly right. So like they're very boy band-esque. My face has kind of been a little like cleaned up and thinned down and like some other things going on. But like, listen, if you're a paid member of Ideogram, again, you have to be paid. You can do this with 10 different characters, and it's worth playing around with. So I spent a little bit of time with this. Again, it's just making these tools that used to be harder to access available for more people. So it's a very cool thing. And Kevin, in that same vein, there's another interesting thing that came out with AI video, which is that VO3, which is still my favorite video model to use. There's somebody that found a hack basically for it, that if you upload an image and you write on the image itself what you want to happen in the video, like you actually literally say, okay, circle this area, these guys do this, circle this area, these guys do this, that it works really well to give you direction in the video. So this is just a cool hack. There's some great examples here from Jay Bugox _creative when he created an image of a like what looks like a SWAT team that is then busted in on by an alien, and you get a sense of like how it works. Just some really cool ways of using.
But it's
AI
a cool. I love that example because it's like this 3/4 perspective, almost like a action RPG style. Like a what is it, XCOM kind of game of like the SWAT team, and he literally says alien bursts through wall, these guys get knocked back, these guys start shooting, and it works for camera control as well. So there's another example. Rory Flynn has one of a dream car drifting around a corner, and he's drawing arrows that dictate, okay, the car needs to go here, and then phase 2 it needs to drift here, and then 3 the camera needs to follow it around, and the model just does it. And you know, we talk a lot about what our interface is going to look like in the future for these tools, right? And if it can handle this, there's no reason it couldn't handle natural language input as well, to just tell it, hey, I want the camera to push in here, and I want, you know, draw with your finger, and all that stuff. Is just, it's wild that this is like an emergent behavior that someone just sort of discovered. This wasn't like a big, hey, this is
That's the part that's most interesting to me, is like, this wasn't planned for by the team. Like, this was just something somebody figured out was a cool way to do it. And emergently they were like, oh, this actually works. I can't believe it worked.
I want to briefly, Gavin, talk about the Qwen line of models, which are getting attention, I think, in our circle, but haven't really shattered through like the DeepSeek stuff did back in the day. This is an incredible line of models. It's several different models, which are very, very powerful. We're talking like GPT-4o level, in some cases like Claude Sonnet level for coding, and you can run many of them locally. You can run them on, people are running them on MacBook Airs that have just an ounce of RAM. These are distilled versions of the models. They're not like the all-powerful ones. But when we talk about like intelligence in the home, trusting these models with your sensitive data, your your household private metrics and all that stuff, your financials, your medical stuff, like this is what we're talking about. These models are now like basically performing at the frontier of what we have now. And yes, something better, more powerful will come out tomorrow, but today this is very, very impressive. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines wanting to try coding or feed your medical data into something, and you've been, you know, reluctant to give that up to one of the bigs, now is the time to leap in, because these models can be run super cheap. And again, you can run them on-prem. You can run them in your house locally.
Kevin, can I give you a compliment?
Of course you can. I don't know if you're capable of it, but you're welcome to.
Oh my God, come on, give me a break. I want to say that Kevin was, we talked about this yesterday. Kevin and I are in the same town. Weirdly, you would think we are across the world, but no, we are in the same town. We're just in our homes right now recording this. Kevin was helping me understand a little bit about like how important local AI is to him. And I think he really kind of brought it in front of my brain, mostly because the truth of the matter is we are all going to like continue to use AI as it gets better and better and better. But at some point, we are not mathematicians we're not PhDs in math. We are not like crazy advanced in science. Maybe at some point, who knows, maybe we'll get an advanced degree in geology, you or I, if we go back to school. But what's cool about these open source models is they are going to follow the pathway of the state-of-the-art models. And eventually, these little tiny models will get as good as the state-of-the-art like 2 rounds from now. Then you have like all of this power that we are going to see, say, 2028, let's say, whatever the state-of-the-art is then is going to be massively farther than we are now, we hope. But then the 2028 model that we can have locally on our phones is going to be really, really good. That's really exciting. And I think if these keep improving in the same way that the state-of-the-art ones do, that will change a lot of how we just live our everyday lives. So you brought it back home for me, so I appreciate
well,
that.
Thank you, sir. And I think that to contextualize that just a little bit more for folks, like, I don't know that I mean, at some point I'll probably upgrade my laptop again. Maybe I'll get another gaming PC. I don't know. Okay, I'm pretty lucky I get to think about those things. But I will definitely, at some point in the future, be buying an AI accelerator for the home. There's going to be a dedicated device that I'm going to spend a decent chunk of change on that is just going to generate tokens for me and whoever else happens to be over. Because that can mean crunching my medical data. That can mean generating silly videos. That can mean thinking deeply about a project that I want to do, helping me get my day job done. I don't know what I don't know about the capability of these things in the future, but I know that we're going to be accelerating them. You and I and everybody watching and listening to this, we're going to have things dedicated to making that faster in our home, which is kind of wild.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Speaking of things that are going to be in our home, Kevin, it's time for the return of Robot Watch.
Spooky edition.
Robot Watch.
So yes, Kevin, I refer to this as the Robot Watch Spooky Edition because there are a few things in here that start to make robots. You know that song, "Things That Make You Go You remember that song from the old 90s?
Yeah, I sure
That's
do.
how I started to think about the robots in this. We're going to start with the robot though. Figure02 has a video. Brett Adcock, the CEO of Figure02, tweeted out a video of his robot, the Figure02 robot, autonomously doing laundry. It's just sitting there, kind of squatting next to his dryer, pulling stuff out of his dryer. But Kevin, I want you to play it for our audience, and I want everybody to just listen to the sounds you hear in this video.
All right. Figure 2 humanoid robot doing laundry in the Adcock house. What do you guys think? Honey, you want to throw that in there?
I think I'm subscribing to Servo ASMR
That's
now,
right,
Gavin, because that's all you hear is a little zzz.
That is so scary to me when you hear that sound, because what I would rather have it do is like play like a little circus music or something that makes me understand that it exists. What it sounds like is a silent killer that is doing my laundry for right now.
Do you want it to sound like a Chevy Bolt that got put in reverse? Like, do you want it to always make a low hum so you know the robot is there?
Yeah, I want to have some version of that, because you can imagine, what if you're sitting in your bed and you hear that little that little sign of that servo?
The last thing you hear on this earth, Gavin, will be... And that's your neck as it Seagulls you. It's going to Steven Seagal you. The robot, we should point out, is not being teleoperated, according to Brett. It's just moving autonomously, right? It's running their neural network thing. It's a system that they call Helix. And while the robot is loading one piece of laundry at a time from the basket into the dryer, it looks like, he has his daughter stuff new laundry into the basket, which is like, that's confusing. That happens for a reason, but the robot adjusts and continues doing the thing. What I really wanted to see was the end of the task. I wanted to see it close the door, stand up, and just kind of wobble out of frame.
You mean taking the humans out? Is that the end of the task?
No, I didn't want to see it load the child into the dryer. No, I'm saying that, like, when you watch the video, it's sort of like the robot sort of finishes, and then Brett pans away, and we have no idea what happens on the other side of that. But I want to know how much of that was an on rails, like, okay, you're in the perfect position, and now it's time to execute laundry command. You know, like, how much was that? And what happens on the other side of that? I'm just curious.
Robot companies give such good video, but like, it's interesting to see when they're in production and in the world. That's why in some ways those RizBot videos are so interesting to watch, because like, you're actually seeing a Unitree robot actually moving around. But so speaking of scary robots, there was a video I saw from a company called Lume. And Lume, when I opened this video up, I was like, oh, I don't know what this is. It's like two stands that have lights on them, right? And there's these two light stands. And what they do is in the video...
Florida ceiling stands, let's be clear. Like, these are very tall, like single, look like a bamboo stick sort of thing with a lampshade on the end.
And then in the middle of, I don't know when, my worry was I'd be asleep and this would happen in the middle of the night. They both turn into these like robot arms that reach over the bed and supposedly do like folding of clothes. But Kevin, speaking of Spooky Edition, do you know what I think those two robot arms would be doing? Zoop, cut me wide open in the middle of the night. That's what's happening. And I feel like we are setting ourselves up to put killer robots in our bedrooms right next to our beds. So if you haven't seen this video, go check it out. It's probably not as scary as I'm making it sound out. It's actually
you require
cool, right?
folding must be folded.
Yes,
Please stop contorting me.
Stop folding me. Well, and then finally in our robot watch, we have, speaking of Unitree and Rizbot, there was a Unitree G1 that had a full meltdown. And sometimes, Kevin, it's important to remember that robots are not as advanced as they see. But this also just reminded me, when you watch this video, it's a Unitree robot kind of hanging out, and it does that thing where sometimes Unitree videos look like it's going to do. There's an old dance move, I can't remember what it's called, where you kind of go on your back and then you flip up again. You know, that moment where like it looks like it's starting to do that, and then like it has like what. Some sort of a freak out, and on the ground
if you've ever been at a Denny's on a Saturday afternoon and you've seen the toddler that doesn't get tablet time,
yes, that's exactly what
this is. It goes full fussy toddler mode. It is thrashing its little robot legs around.
That's right. So it's just another example of like we are not at the point where these things are in any way like fully controllable, and it made me feel a little spooky again that like if it can still flip and flop around on the ground like that, maybe we don't exactly know what's going on here.
Where is like the governor guardrail system for these things that can detect, like even if the main system has gone down or going awry, you should never allow your little servos to operate at this speed or at these degrees or whatever. It should just be a fail safe and shut it down. But nope, we got thrashing robots and your daughters are going in the dryer.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea to start thinking about, you know, robot safety now, which sounds crazy science fiction, but a lot of people have thought about AI safety. But like that is like, you know, these are going to be machines that are going to be near us. And I know a lot of these are being built so that they're not too big. Like they're relatively lightweight. So like if one thing like it falls on you or something like that's not that bad. But I'm sure I say that, I'm sure there's like a bunch of robot engineers who are out there saying like, the last 20 years of my life have been dependent on how the robot doesn't fall down. I've been thinking about it nonstop. So I'm sure, I'm sure that's happening.
Gavin, every week you and I scroll across amazing things that stops us dead in our tracks, and we say, hey, I see what you did there.
Sometimes you're scrolling without a care. Then suddenly you stop and shout.
This week, I got to shout out something. This is for like 3 people in our audience. This is probably for a really nerdy set, but I discovered this tool. I started using it, and I'm just a fan of it. A hashtag, not an ad. It's called Yoyo, and it's an IDE tool. So if you're coding at all, this comes to us from Jack ETH. I went out of my way to message Jack and be like, thank you. This is really helpful.
Oh, this guy I think followed me or followed the show, and now that makes sense. That's probably why. Yeah.
Gavin, I'm building the audience one free shout out at a time. If you've got like a landscaping business, or maybe you make bespoke lava lamps, hit us up. We'll shout you out.
Or a guy who have a yacht and you'd like to invite us on your yacht for a weekend getaway. That's also fair. Okay, Either one's fine.
Leave the $1 million super chat and we will get back to you. Yo, very quickly, if you do anything with coding, vibe coding, or even regular coding, wake up. This is a tool that like saves states in between your massive GitHub commit. So if you're going to try to like put a little feature in, or you're going to take a little shot at something, you want to change a little bit of code, you smack a button, it saves the state, you can move on. If you don't like it, you one click, it reverts it back. It's just like a checkpoint system in a video game, and it's a really nice thing to have when you're relying on robots to write your code, which sometimes is sloppy. So thank you, Jack, for making Yoyo. And that's a sentence in this world that's real.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's probably the first time that sentence has ever been said by a human in history.
Sorry, my lamp is starting to come down now. Hold on. No, not now.
All right. Before we go, last thing, Will Ahmed put out a video, which was a very interesting, simple thing that he did. Where he says, cool. This is it. This is NBA 2K, the video game with an AI filter. There's a very real chance that live sports gets disrupted by video games. If you're familiar with NBA 2K, you know that the actual movements look pretty realistic, but it still looks like a video game.
Yeah.
This looks like an actual NBA game. And what's interesting is if you're also familiar with NBA 2K, you know there are moments where there's a pause moment, and it's so weird to see like people who look like they are real pausing in that moment. Yeah, exactly.
It looks like the Lakers put on like a bit of a show, and they started like, let's play like robots.
Yeah, exactly.
I like thank you, Will, for posting this. I disagree with the second half, the live sports getting disrupted by video games. I think there's a good chance that video game engines get disrupted by these AI layering techniques, right? Because you can imagine a world where you don't have to push so many polygons with all these effects or whatever. These basketball players, as long as the animations are good enough, you could run a video filter on top of them powered by AI. This really stopped me when I scrolled by, Gavin. I saw this and was like, what? It's because it's this uncanny thing of like, it looks like a basketball game.
Well, and also, by the way, that whole idea about like using low poly, video game engines to create what could be the first level of a movie is very possible in a way that it's a lot of how they make the original settings of like a Pixar movie or like a Illumination movie. It starts with that thing. Now it's getting easier for lots of people to do it. So that is it for this week, everybody. It's a little shorter.
Sorry, I see why. No, I see why the hand keeps coming out of my robot lamp. It's because I have an incognito browser up. I gotta deactivate that.
Turn it off. We're a little shorter this week because we had a busy thing for our redacted startup, which we will be talking about soon. We will see you all back next week, hopefully for GPT-5 week, which will be a fun thing. Thank you so much for everybody, and please go leave $1 million on our super thanks.